Well, here we go again. Another MAGA Civil War story. These stories, it's almost becoming every day. And you look at what's going on here. There's a few things in play, and this latest one with Mark Levin and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I got to go through this. We got to talk about this, and I want to get your response in the comments of whatever platform you're listening on about this. What's going on here? Do we have real MAGA versus fake MAGA? Is it MAGA versus MAGA? Is it a problem that top MAGA people are disagreeing with very big issues? Like this involves the bombing of Iran. Is disagreeing on these big issues make you not MAGA? I stand by this today, okay? President Trump is a very special president for so many reasons that I'm not going to go through now because I talk about it so much on the show. So I believe we should always stand with Donald Trump. You're either with Trump or you're not with Trump, all right? And I'm no fan of Mark Levin, but I love Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's just wrong about this one. And I want to go through this pettiness between the two of them. One of the reasons that it's important for us to call out the fake MAGA, and what this really is about, is Mark Levin fake MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that he is, as you'll hear in a few minutes on the program. See, one of the reasons I spend so much time talking about this is because when President Trump retires from the presidency, whenever that is, and we have our second MAGA president, which right now it looks like it's going to be J.D. Vance with Marco Rubio as his vice president. It looks like that's the lineup, but it could be different. Who knows? But for the rest of his life, there will not be a Republican president that does not receive his endorsement. So President Trump's going to be deciding who all the future Republican presidents are. But here's the thing about the Republicans. The Republican establishment has not just disappeared and said, Trump won, MAGA took over the party, that's it. They're planning their comeback, all right? So there's a lot of people out there that I call fake MAGA. And I believe Marjorie Taylor Greene's right about Mark Levin. He's fake MAGA. And not that he's incorrect about Iran, but these divisions. See, what the Republican establishment are doing is waiting for Trump no longer to be president, and they think they're going to be able to get back in. So a lot of them are passing themselves off as Trump supporters, as MAGA, who aren't, so that when Trump's finally out of office, hopefully it'll be like 2030 something, right? They'll have the backing of Trump supporters. All right. So let's go through this a little bit about what's happened with Levin and Marjorie Taylor Greene. You got two things here. This is what started it, of course, on X. Let me read through this. This is on Mediaite, and then she went on Steve Bannon's War Room, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and talked about Mark Levin, which I will play the audio of that coming up. But first, let's go through this Mediaite article. Fox News' Mark Levin nuked Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene from orbit on Monday over her opposition to President Trump's strikes on Iranian nuclear sites over the weekend. On Sunday, Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted this: "I don't know anyone in America who has been the victim of a crime or killed by Iran, but I know many people who have been victims of crime committed by criminal illegal aliens or murdered by cartel and Chinese fentanyl/drugs." This is Marjorie Taylor Greene on X. She goes on, "However, America has not dropped bunker busters on the cartel's sophisticated drug tunnels, launched tomahawks on massive cartel poisonous drug operations, or gone to war against the cartel's international terrorist network," Greene continued. "Neocon warmongers beat their drums of war and act like Billy badasses going to war in countries most Americans have never seen and can't find on a map, but never find the courage to go to war against the actual terrorists who actually do kill Americans, invade our land, and make billions by doing it day after day, year after year." Okay, now, I understand what she's saying, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's not 100% wrong about that. However, President Trump has done a lot with the cartels. We may not have bombed Mexico, okay? Border's been completely shut down. They're not getting their drugs through, not anywhere near like they ever have. It's getting more and more difficult for them to get them into the United States all the time because he shut down the border. So is shutting down the border a better move than to start sending bunker busters into Latin America? And, of course, those cartels, while the cartels are bad dudes, the people working for them are civilians. What would be the civilian death toll on that, right? I mean, no, I think President Trump's done a good job. I'm not a drug user, so I don't know how much these illegal drugs have gone up in price, but I'm sure inflation may not be going up on everyday things like you and I would buy, but I bet there's been massive inflation on illegal drugs because they're so difficult to get into the country and really impossible to a certain extent. But anyway, Mark Levin, let's see, she goes on. Hold on. Marjorie Taylor Greene goes on a little bit here, so let's continue. She says, I can also support President Trump and his great administration on many of the great things that they do, that they are doing, while disagreeing on bombing Iran and getting involved in a hot war that Israel started. See, that's another thing I disagree with her on, okay? As far as I'm concerned, Israel didn't start this war. Iran did in 1979 when they took our embassy. And we've been in a constant state of war with Iran. Now, since 1979, and all this Islamic terrorism around the world is all Iran that we've dealt with since then, okay? So this is not something that happened a couple weeks ago when the air campaign began by Israel in Iran. This has been going on forever. She goes on, hot war that Israel started, which I totally disagree with that. That's not disloyalty. Critical thinking and having my own opinions is the most American thing ever, Marjorie Taylor Greene concluded. Now, what has been done is done, and Americans now fear Iranian terrorist attacks on our own soil and being dragged into another war by Netanyahu when we weren't even thinking about any of this a week ago. We don't know what the future holds, and I pray for the safety of all people and an end to the constant demand for America to go to war. Enough is enough. Now, keep in mind, she posted this on Twitter after the weekend bombing campaign against Iran, okay? So then Mark Levin this morning responded, and this is what Mark Levin wrote on X. Listen to this. Marjorie Taylor Greene, shameless nitwit. How incredibly dumb is this Marjorie Taylor Greene? Now, notice one thing. This next sentence, how dumb is this Marjorie Taylor Greene? That's more insulting than calling her a nitwit because he's dismissing her as an unimportant person. She doesn't know anyone in America who's been a victim of a crime or killed by Iran. You mean the thousands of Americans, especially military personnel, killed and maimed by the Iranian terrorist regime? And, you know, on top of all that, remember, the Iranians have been trying to kill President Trump for years, since he took out Soleimani, okay? And I know that she knows President Trump. Now, she's not on the outs with President Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her boyfriend, Brian Glenn, is part of the White House press pool, and he's been very close and tight with Trump over the past few days. If you go back and watch the ceremony with the flagpoles the other day, Brian Glenn's there. They're buddies. You can tell by the interaction. They're best friends. I was talking about this on one of the podcast episodes last week. So she's not on the outs with President Trump at all, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she's taken issue with him over the bombing of Iran. And I know it sucks. I mean, I wouldn't get on a plane right now. Would you, in the United States, and fly anywhere? No, things are on alert. They're firing rockets at this U.S. base today, although they didn't hit. Although that could change by the time you're listening to this podcast episode. It had to be done. And I was very much opposed to any military action against Iran by the United States or Israel until President Trump said, hey, they're a week away from a nuclear weapon. They're 3 weeks away from having 10. And I trust him, okay? I don't trust any of these intelligence agencies, but I trust President Trump to go through and make the decision, and he did, and I stand by him. If you go through the life and history of President Trump, he has been anti-war his entire life. So for him to come out and say, hey, we got to do this now, something has changed. Something has happened. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she went on with Bannon on the War Room today and responded to Mark Levin, and she makes some good points. Listen.
Well, I got to add on one more thing, Steve, and I'm sure you've covered it on your show. Mark Levin was one of the biggest never-Trumpers when President Trump was running for president. So it absolutely makes me sick. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth that he's one of the voices that is constantly texting and calling President Trump's phone and showing up at the White House demanding for America to go to every single foreign war on behalf of Israel. You know, I'm really sick and disgusted at that. And it's people like him and Lindsey Graham and all these other people that never really supported Trump in the beginning. Yeah. People like me, regular people like me, donated to President Trump. We showed up at his rallies. We voted for him. We truly supported him. I've supported him the entire time. Mark Levin was a never-Trumper. Compared President Trump, claimed that he was the same as Code Pink. All of this horrible attacks on President Trump, and he only supports him now because he couldn't beat him, because people like me supported President Trump and got him elected. And Steve, I've spent 5 years, I've spent millions of dollars, millions of my own money, traveling this entire country campaigning for President Trump, defending him when everyone abandoned him after January 6th. And I would say I represent MAGA far more than Mark Levin or any of these other neocon suck-ups ever will and ever do.
Okay. Now, I agree with almost everything she says there. I don't trust Mark Levin. I don't think he likes Trump. I think he is not MAGA. I think he's fake about it. I think he pretends. And, you know, I was watching Fox News when the news broke about the strike, okay, on Saturday. And Hannity had Levin on, and they were on before President Trump addressed the nation, and I watched it. And Mark Levin, who's always screaming and yelling on TV, I've never seen him so excited and giddy in my life. And I could tell, the sense I had watching Mark Levin on Fox Saturday night is he thinks that he is personally responsible for convincing President Trump to bomb Iran for this Israeli war that's going on over there. That's how he views it, okay? I think it was the right thing to do because President Trump told us it was. He went through the intelligence. But Mark Levin, without question, was advocating for Israel more than the United States. I don't trust this guy. He's Republican establishment. He worked in the Reagan administration. He got to where he is through his Republican establishment connections. And she's spot on the money there, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He was a rabid never-Trumper in the first campaign. And if I remember correctly, he wanted Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is, we all like Ted Cruz now, but he came up through the ranks through the Bush family, all right, in Texas with connections with his father and everything. I'm not going to get into all of that now. I've talked about it on past shows. I'm sure I will again in the future, but I don't want to get sidetracked on this. She's right. He is pretending to be Trump's friend. Mark Levin, he is, in my opinion, and Marjorie Taylor Greene agrees, he's pretending to be MAGA. And he feels like he is a big hero, like he was able to convince the president of the United States to bomb Iran. You could tell when he was on with Hannity on Saturday night. I've never seen him like that before. It was more outrageous than he normally is with the way he behaves. Are you not sleeping at night? Well, it's probably because you're not sleeping on a MyPillow. And with this incredible new special that Mike Lindell is offering, you got to get your MyPillow. In fact, not only should you get a MyPillow for yourself, you should, if you already have one, get them for all of the beds in your house. Get them for your friends. Get them for your families. This is an incredibly low price. Right now, with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, you can get a MyPillow for just $17.98. The first one I have, I got it 10 years ago. I still sleep on it. I paid $65 for it. Now you can get the same pillow with that patented fill for just $17.98. That's with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. You see why I'm so well rested? Because I sleep on the MyPillow each and every night. You can also order by phone, toll free, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. Call or go to the website right now. Use our promo code and stock up. This is a very good deal. It won't last, so take advantage of it. $17.98 for a MyPillow with our promo code KANE. What a deal. Order yours right now. Imagine stepping into your kitchen and it's filled with vibrant vegetables, fragrant spices, and the joy of creating meals that nourish your body and the planet. In the new book, Plant-Powered Plates, Sustainable Plant-Based Pleasures for Every Palate, from author Bain Kalange. Available on Amazon, you'll discover 100 delicious plant-based recipes designed to fuel you with energy and simplify your transition to a balanced vegan lifestyle. From mindful eating and nutrition essentials to a 30-day meal plan, the author is passionate about healthy, sustainable living and has a love for simple, nourishing meals and mindful habits. He wrote Plant-Powered Plates to help others just like you enjoy the benefits of plant-based eating and shares practical, actionable ideas that'll inspire a balanced, thoughtful lifestyle, one plate at a time. Order your copy of Plant-Powered Plates right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. There's all kinds of things coming out of Iran. Iranian officials plan to remove Ayatollah as supreme leader. This is in the Daily Mail. Iranian officials are said to be considering removing their supreme leader from power after the U.S. bombing. Two sources involved in the talks told The Atlantic that officials are now contemplating deposing the Ayatollah Khomeini, but said it's just one idea among many plots. Everybody knows Khomeini's days are numbered, one official told the American outlet, The Atlantic. Atlantic, I bet, is like a CIA outlet. Would you think? I would not be surprised. Even if he stays in office, he won't have actual power. And I was talking this morning, before I saw this story, I told you there was a report over the weekend from Sky News Australia, which is just one of the best news outlets in the world. Sky News Australia, not UK, Australia. I watch them on YouTube. They said that the Ayatollah had handed some authority over to the military leaders, and this guy did not hand over anything willingly. They just took it, if that's true. Iranian officials had sought to displace the 86-year-old supreme leader even before the U.S. intervention due to his age and longstanding health concerns. It goes on. This is there's a big move going on to have a coup over there, and it looks like there's two different coups going on, probably both backed by the deep state. One is this internal coup to replace the Ayatollah. So far as him choosing a successor, there's not going to be a successor to him as the Ayatollah if things continue the way they are. So they've got that going on where there's some military coup, and then they've got the son of the Shah, who's the heir, who's the king of Iran, who's next in line for the throne, and he's making the move. He's the one. He was on Fox over the weekend saying, "Make Iran great again." "Make Iran great again" was a trending hashtag because he said it on television over the weekend. And they're also making a move to put the Shah back in power, and they're hedging both to see which one is most likely. But there's definitely some regime change, and you know, I've been talking a lot about this the last few days because a lot of people, and I think this is true with Marjorie Taylor Greene, although Marjorie Taylor Greene and I are about the same age, she was not a political person or even followed news and things until the Trump era. And a lot of people that are voicing opinions on this, I just think are missing a lot of context of the situation. If you look at the Middle East has been a non-stop problem for the United States my entire life. And all of the troubles of the Middle East have been wrapped up except one, and that's Iran. I mean, look at this visit that the president made a few weeks ago. I couldn't believe that he went to Syria, met with their leader, who's that ex-terrorist, and look at how the Saudis treat. It's amazing, you know. And we are friends with the Middle East except Iran. All of the troubles in the Middle East are from Iran. And if we could get a friendly regime in power over there and get rid of this religious cult leader, because that's what the Ayatollah is not the head of Muslims worldwide. He's the head of Iran, okay? And the way I was describing him, because he seems this way, is a lunatic cult leader. He's a David Koresh type, a Jim Jones type, and at the age of 86, he figures his life's over already, so he just doesn't care about everyone else, and he's, you know, since he's going anyway, he wants to martyr the whole country, I guess. You know, but the entire Middle East, if it were not for Iran, today would be a peaceful place. Remember, Iran, it's not just the conflict with Iran and Israel. Iran is backing all the terrorism around the world, Islamic terrorism. All these attacks on Israel through Gaza, that's all Iran. You guys know this. You follow the news. And so many people out there that have big audiences and platforms or maybe even a seat in Congress, I think are just missing a lot of context as to the dangers of Iran. And, so far as whether it was the right thing to do, no more wars. Well, President Trump ran with no new wars, but sometimes things happen and action has to be taken. And either you believe President Trump or you don't. And I always take President Trump at his word. Has he ever lied to us? And President Trump said they were 1 week away from having the uranium for one weapon, 3 weeks away from having enough for 10. So what do you think they were going to do with that? They were going to terrorize the world with it, is what they were going to do. And they had to be stopped. And he made the decision. So either you trust and believe President Trump or you don't. Was he lying? I don't think he was lying. Does Marjorie Taylor Greene think Trump was lying? I don't think so. I was watching Mark Dice today, and he's upset with Trump too about this. And there are a lot of other people that are. I am with Trump all the way. You either believe him or not. He's not lying to us that they were a week away from having enough uranium for one nuke and 3 weeks away from having enough for 10, because he doesn't lie to us about anything, President Trump. So you take him for his word or you think he's a liar. And if you're not supporting him on this action, you must think he's a liar, as far as I'm concerned. So no, I'm with Trump all the way on this. Let me know what you think in the comments about the Mark Levin, Marjorie Taylor Greene issue. Do you think Mark Levin is still part of the Republican establishment? I do. Who's pretending to be MAGA so they can make their move when Trump leaves office? I think he is. He did an interview with Ron DeSantis during the primaries that made me physically ill. I didn't hear it live, and a listener called me on the air and says, Brian, you got to hear this. And I was done listening to Levin because, he was a never-Trumper years ago. I've never gone back to his show, but I went back and listened to that interview. What an infomercial interview. It was during the primaries before DeSantis had dropped out. He didn't ask him about any of the controversies that were going on at the time, and DeSantis is the Bush candidate. And that is during the height of the lawfare against President Trump when Mark Levin did this interview with DeSantis that was an infomercial. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So no, Marjorie Taylor Greene is right. Mark Levin was a never-Trumper. He still is a never-Trumper. He's pretending to be a never-Trumper. And he thinks he manipulated President Trump in the bombing Iran for Israel. That's what Levin thinks. My name's Brian. We'll take a break and be right back. Dr. Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. I think about what my life would be like all the time if I never met Dr. Appleton and took advantage of his laser wave pain treatment. He's rid me of pain 7 times with his laser treatment, and I'd still have those pains, right? Those times I fell off my skateboard still would have happened and busted my shoulders, the arthritis, my knee pain, all that. I'd be suffering so much right now, or I'd be a junkie on a bunch of pain pills. That's not good. His laser wave pain treatment works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. You've heard me talk about this quite a bit. And I was just talking to Dr. Appleton, and he brought to my attention, and I did not realize this, but, the laser treatment works on injuries and pains that you're suffering from car accidents or slip and fall accidents. And I realized when I fell off my skateboard those couple times, those were accidents, right? I slipped off the skateboard and fell. If you've fallen at home, fallen out in public, or gotten into a car accident, go see Dr. Appleton. I was in a really bad car accident, years ago, and my car got totaled. A girl hit me. I was sitting still in my car in a traffic jam on I-95, wasn't moving, and a girl drove into my driver's side, going 65, 75 miles an hour. It was bad. I thought I wasn't going to make it, but I did. And I'll tell you, I was in a lot of pain. I didn't know Dr. Appleton then. I don't even know if the laser wave pain treatment with Dr. Appleton was available then, but I was in a lot of pain. Just from the seatbelt, my chest was in so much pain just from the seatbelt, and I'd hurt my leg and everything else. And you know what? Come to think of it, that knee pain I'm suffering from probably was from a car accident that I was in. I bet you it was. that he rid me of. But the laser treatment works on injuries from car accidents. And, you know, a lot of people are getting into car accidents these days in Uber and Lyft rides. Can you imagine you're in an Uber, you're in a Lyft, and there's an accident? Well, some of these guys drive like nuts. Well, anyway, if you're in pain because of an accident, go see Dr. Appleton. Remember, the consultation is free. If you have x-rays, you have scans, bring them with you. It also works on every type of pain I've ever heard of: arthritis, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute pain, chronic pain. The list goes on. And pain that you're suffering from accidents, slip and fall, or car accidents. Remember, appointments are not necessary. Even on Saturdays, there's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Give Dr. Appleton a call, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. We've had listeners travel from all over America to see Dr. Appleton. His laser treatment works. Online, AppletonCairo.com.
Set sail on a global adventure with Sammy and the Secret Shortcut from author Samuel M. Riley. Available on Amazon. In Sammy and the Secret Shortcut, young readers embark on a thrilling journey through the Panama Canal, discovering how it works and why it matters, all through engaging rhyme and vivid illustrations. Perfect for children ages 4 to 8, this inspiring story brings real-world geography to life, sparking curiosity and a love for travel. Whether at bedtime, in the classroom, or as a family, Sammy's adventure helps children explore global topics in a fun, meaningful way. Author Samuel M. Riley is a former cruise ship learning and development manager who has traveled over 300,000 nautical miles, visited over 80 countries, and this book was inspired by his true adventures at sea. Join Sammy as he discovers the world, one port at a time. Sammy and the Secret Shortcut from author Samuel M. Riley. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Imagine stepping into your kitchen and it's filled with vibrant vegetables, fragrant spices, and the joy of creating meals that nourish your body and the planet. In the new book, Plant-Powered Plates, Sustainable Plant-Based Pleasures for Every Palate, from author Bain Kalange. Available on Amazon, you'll discover 100 delicious plant-based recipes designed to fuel you with energy and simplify your transition to a balanced vegan lifestyle. From mindful eating and nutrition essentials to a 30-day meal plan, the author is passionate about healthy, sustainable living and has a love for simple, nourishing meals and mindful habits. He wrote Plant-Powered Plates to help others just like you enjoy the benefits of plant-based eating and shares practical, actionable ideas that'll inspire a balanced, thoughtful lifestyle, one plate at a time. Order your copy of Plant-Powered Plates right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. You've been searching for answers to chronic pain and feel like the only solution is another pill. It's time for a different approach. From best-selling author and international trauma expert, Dr. Yvette Rose, comes a powerful new perspective. Pain isn't something to silence, it's something to understand. And she shares what she's learned in her book, Solving Pain Without Pills, when the answer is not in a bottle. Available on Amazon. Drawing from over 16 years of global experience across 43 countries and more than 7,000 clients, Dr. Yvette Rose reveals how unresolved emotions, stress, and trauma get stored in the body, manifesting as chronic pain and illness. Solving Pain Without Pills goes beyond theory. You'll learn how to decode emotional imprints beyond physical pain, apply the transformative AAA method, and finally start listening to what your body is really trying to say. If you've ever felt overlooked by the medical system or unheard in your healing journey, this is your next must-read book. Solving Pain Without Pills is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. From historical fiction author Leo Carrington comes a powerful coming-of-age story set against the clash of empires, where strength alone isn't enough and destiny demands everything. The Contender from Delos, available on Amazon. Born in Greece, forged in Rome, Alexander is no ordinary boy. Raised in the brutal streets of the empire's capital, he survives by his fist and dreams of something greater. When his wrestling talent earns him a place at the elite Palestra on Palatine Hill, his real battle begins. Trained by a ruthless legend, he must conquer more than opponents while he faces doubt, ambition, and the painful secrets of his past. And when his Greek roots come calling, he'll have to decide, is his future in Rome or back in Delos? What choice does Alexander make? Find out when you read The Contender from Delos from author Leo Carrington. Available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Order your copy today and begin the journey.
Okay, so this new poll has come out for the mayor's race in New York City, and it has people freaking out. And I got a different take on this. Now, Governor Cuomo is running for mayor. He's got this Muslim guy he's a Bernie Sanders type, this Muslim guy. He's never really had a job, and now he's about to become mayor. And they have this new poll out that shows this guy that no one's ever heard of is beating Governor Cuomo in the latest polls. Cuomo is at 48%. This idiot's at 52%. And I just had a theory on this. I wanted to share with you all, and you can let me know in the comments if you think this is possible. You know, Governor Cuomo is a jerk, okay? The way he was behaving during the lockdowns, he thought he was going to be president. He really did. He thought he was going to be the Democrat nominee in 2020 and be the president. And he was doing these press conferences every day. They were in late mornings, and they were really about him competing with Trump. Trump was the president, but he was trying to act like he was the president as the governor of New York. And these press conferences went on and on and on, and they were his undoing. And then he had that little fling, whatever that was about. And it was during the Me Too era still, so he resigned, and then we got Governor Hochul. But now he's running for mayor of New York, and he's trying to get himself back. And his campaign, he's got a lot of baggage, right? Not just the way that he behaved during those press conferences. A lot of people blame him for a lot of death in New York, okay? And there was a lot of corruption that went on in New York and everything else. And he's got a lot of negative publicity. The fling with the woman that worked for him. He's got that Me Too problem. The embarrassing way he carried himself during the press conferences, all the deaths, including a lot of seniors in the state of New York. He's got a lot of things going up against him, and including some of the most insane enforcement of social distancing. There was one video, you guys remember this, where the police went into the home, a Jewish home. There was some kind of celebration. This was during the lockdowns, and they started the police started pulling Jews out of this home because there were too many Jews in the house. I was like, oh my goodness, the symbolism from, it was bad. So anyway, this new poll out, I don't buy this poll. I typically don't follow or support polls at all. But look what's happened here. This is scaring people. This guy, this Muslim guy that's running, is a lifelong bum. He hasn't done anything in his life. People are saying today that if he becomes mayor, they're going to turn New York City into London, and we know what happened to London. And what I'm telling you is that Governor Cuomo is very, very smart. His dad was governor, and a lot of people don't remember his dad, Mario Cuomo. When Ronald Reagan was president, Mario Cuomo, who was governor of New York, the first governor before, this is his son, and Fredo, his other son. He was the most vocal Democrat in America. He was the arch enemy of Ronald Reagan, and he gave a speech at the DNC that was very famous. And he didn't get the nomination or anything, but he thought he was going to be the nominee and president, Mario Cuomo. It was a big deal. He was a big deal. And the Cuomo family, Andrew Cuomo, as nutty as he is, he's pretty smart, okay? He was the Secretary of Housing, I think it was Housing, under Bill Clinton. He's very smart, and Governor Cuomo himself could have come out with this fake poll to get some energy behind his campaign. Say, hey, listen, forget about all those seniors that died. Forget about the fact we didn't use the hospital ship. Forget about my fling with a subordinate. We can't let this guy turn New York City into London. And I would not be surprised if Cuomo himself came up with the idea of releasing this poll. First of all, the poll is pretty much, it's 4 points apart, so it may even be within the margin of error, but if it's not in the margin of error, it's close to it. So this poll's meaningless other than it scared the living daylights out of people and say, you know what? All these things with Governor Cuomo, yeah, maybe we should forget about all that stuff because we need him more than we need this guy to destroy our city of New York. So I don't buy this. I think the Democrats are behind this poll, probably Governor Cuomo himself. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. All right, so let's get to some other things. Now, President Trump, he posted this on Truth Social today. The sites we hit in Iran were totally destroyed. Everyone knows it. Only the fake news would say anything different in order to try and demean as much as possible. And even they say they were pretty well destroyed. Working especially hard on this falsehood is Allison Cooper of Fake News CNN. I guess that he's... oh, boy. Dumb... Brian L. I'm not sure who that. Oh, Roberts, chairman of Comcast. Oh, okay, I know who that is. Johnny Carl of ABC Fake News, and always the losers of again Comcast, NBC Fake News. Boy, he's got a lot of nicknames out there. It never ends with these sleaze bags in the media, and that's why the ratings are all time low, zero credibility. Okay, there's a couple things going on with this. Yeah. That the sites were not destroyed. The sites were underground, and these bunker-busting bombs don't explode on the surface. They explode how many meters underground? A lot of meters underground. Like, I can't remember offhand, and a meter's a little more than a yard. But they explode deep underground. The damage they do is underground. They don't do a lot of damage above ground because they explode deep under the ground. So as bad as the damage is that we're seeing from above, the real damage is beneath the surface, which is where the facilities were. But anyway, there's a couple things going on here with that. One, you have the media that hate Trump. They're never going to give him credit for anything. So they want to declare this a failure. So they're running with this so they can declare it a failure. The other thing is there are people in the Bush military-industrial complex wing of things that want a ground war. So what they want to do is send in just a small group of boots on the ground just so they can surveil the damage and find out what was really done. You know, that's how they started in Vietnam with the advisors. Once they openly start having boots on the ground, there's going to be problems and things will escalate. So a lot of this, it's the knee-jerk thing that they're never going to support anything Trump does. But a lot of it also is that they want to get boots on the ground to escalate this into a war. And I'll tell you, it looks like we're going to have regime change without any of that. So no, things are doing well, and we've got nothing to worry about. Trump has everything under control. If you're a Medicare recipient or about to turn 65, listen up. I want to talk to you about Medicare. Medicare, it's confusing. That's done on purpose, right? You go online, what do you find? More confusion. A lot of people, they try to go it alone, or they deal with someone who doesn't really know what they're talking about, and what happens? It ends up costing them thousands of dollars sometimes each year. And also, they find out maybe their doctors or the medications, they might not be covered either. That's where Chapter comes in. Chapter is the only national Medicare advisor that compares all of the over 24,000 plans out there for you. They'll find the one that's right for you and your budget. And no matter where you are in the United States, Chapter can help. You're going to get answers, you're going to get them fast, and you're going to get them for free. So whether you're on Medicare right now or turning 65 soon, give Chapter a call, 805-754-3033. 805-754-3033. The number's also in the description of the episode. You're going to talk to a real person. They're going to walk you through everything step by step. No gimmicks, just real help. Because the right plan, it can save you thousands. Again, the number 805-754-3033. 805-754-3033. Get your Medicare questions answered free. 805-754-3033. Your health and your wallet will thank you. Now, this Mahmoud guy, I can't play the audio of this because there's a bunch of music on it. But AOC brought Mahmoud back to New York. See all the screaming that's going on, and then they start playing music. So let me turn the volume down. It's like you think the Beatles in the 60s are coming to New York, but it's Mahmoud with AOC. And, of course, she's there with him. He's got his Muslim Arafat thing on. And this American wife of his, they show the wife. She doesn't look like any American wife I know. Maybe a wife in Syria or something. This guy, I'm telling you, this guy Mahmoud, the Trump administration let this guy out on purpose. It's for a couple of reasons, possibly, right? I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see this woman does not look like any American wife I've ever seen. That's for sure. And, of course, AOC trying to make it about her, like she had something to do with this. I think the Trump administration let this guy out on purpose. I think the Trump administration, they want to – it's one of two things. One, it's possible they flipped him and he's working for us now because, believe me, this guy doesn't want to go back to Syria. But it's more likely they let him out on purpose so they can spy on him to see who he's communicating with, who's communicating to him, and he's had at least one, maybe two already rallies, right? So they want to see who's coming to these rallies, who's connected to these rallies, who's organizing these rallies. And the government, the Justice Department, they are racking up tons of information just on this hero's welcome that this Mahmoud is getting with this useful idiot AOC by his side. So no, don't think this is any victory for him or any loss for the Trump administration. This is exactly what they wanted to happen. Sorry to tell you guys that. Now, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Also, I want to tell you all that if you listen to the podcast on the podcast platforms, that's awesome. The Brian Craig Show is available on all podcast platforms in audio form, and the video version is available on YouTube. So if you follow me on YouTube, Brian Craig Show on YouTube, you get the video version. You get not just to see me, but you get to see the articles and the videos that I share on the podcast. You get to see them on the YouTube version, which is a video version of the podcast, as well as see me in my podcast studio. So again, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. Just search for The Brian Craig Show, and on YouTube, Brian Craig Show, where you get the video version, okay? And it's also on YouTube Music. Okay, so they made a big deal over the weekend that the Democrats were not notified. Well, that's not true. They did notify Schumer, but Carolyn Levitt went on Fox this morning and gave some more details. Listen to this.
We did make bipartisan calls. Thomas Massie and the Democrats, he should be a Democrat because he's more aligned with them than with the Republican Party. We're given notice. The White House made calls to congressional leadership. They were bipartisan calls. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't be reached. We tried him before the strike, and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after.
You know what I'm interested in? Okay, so they called Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat leader in the House. He didn't pick up the phone. What was Hakeem Jeffries doing where that was so important, he didn't take a call from the White House? That's another story within itself, huh?
Before the strike, and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after, as well as Chuck Schumer was briefed prior to the strike. So this notion that CNN ran with at the White House did not give a heads up to Democrats is just completely false. In fact, both Senator Schumer's office and CNN had to retract that story last night because it was a blatant lie, and we showed them the timestamps from those phone calls. But I want to add something to Thomas Massie's false points. The White House was not obligated to call anyone because the president was acting within his legal authority under Article 2 of the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief of the President of the United States. We gave these calls as a courtesy, and the Democrats are lying about this. because they can't talk about the truth of the success of that operation and the success of our United States military and the success of this president and this administration in doing something that past administrations, Democrats too, have only dreamed about.
Okay, now the thing with Hakeem Jeffries, what was he doing that he sent the call to voicemail? Or did he purposely not answer the call because he didn't want to talk to the White? I don't know. But I hope that the media track down Hakeem Jeffries and start asking him what he was doing over the weekend that was so important he didn't accept a call from the White House. Huh? And he would know it's the White House calling, okay? If he gets a call from he's the Democrat leader in the House. He knows exactly everything that's going on. When he gets a call, he knows. Or did he just refuse it because he hates Trump? I don't know. But they had this fake, false narrative that the Democrats weren't informed. They were briefed. Schumer, he's the leader, and Hakeem Jeffries didn't take the call. So what are they supposed to do? They're running a classified military out. They're supposed to keep calling him and calling him and calling him until he decides to answer, if he ever did. That's not how it works. Hakeem's got some explaining to do. Now, just on a quick note, I just want to mention this. Dave Portnoy, I don't understand why Fox News always goes to him for his opinions on things. Does anyone care about Dave Portnoy's opinion on anything? But he's got this pizza thing that he does, which I don't mind. I love pizza, and his pizza reviews are pretty good. But he had a run-in. He got kicked out of a pizza joint. Watch this.
This guy's got permission to shoot on my patio today? Cool. So I'm gonna need you to make your way out this way.
Okay. I'm gonna give this a 0.0. Goodfellas kicked out. National Pizza Review 0.0.
I'll throw it away for you though, so we don't litter.
It's trash.
Thanks, boss.
Trash. What a mistake that guy made. Kicked out.
Terrible?
Kicked out.
What? Kicked out?
That guy kicked us out.
Who? This guy?
Yep.
Dude. Kicked out for what?
Rating pizza.
We got another one, Press.
Oh, he doesn't remember kicking us out. It's on tape.
That's Barstool Sports, man. Barstool.
0.0.
Oh, that's nice.
What a mistake. What a mistake. What do you mean you didn't kick us out? What do you call that, Frankie? Would you say we got kicked out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the guy didn't know who he was. Now, a couple things about this. Are you more likely to go have pizza there if they kicked him out or if he said they had good pizza? I'll tell you, if that was in my neighborhood here in Florida, I'm more likely to go there and have pizza if they kicked him out than if he said they have good pizza, because that's more interesting to me. But this is so typical of celebrities, right? Right? Celebrities, they don't get recognized, and then all of a sudden they're ticked off. But it seems to me everywhere this guy goes, Portnoy, lately, he's running into either people are yelling anti-Semitic things at him or he's getting kicked out. And I'm starting to get a little suspect as to whether or not these are real, right? Why is he dealing with so much hate everywhere he goes? I mean, I know who he is. You know who he is. But not everybody knows who he is. But even on top of that, it was last week or the week before he had the anti-Semitic things yelled at him. Now this. I'm starting to suspect that these aren't like organic, if you know what I mean. We'll be right back. Now, if you're in the state of Florida and you need roof repair or replacement, you want to call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He's a good MAGA guy. He'll take good care of you. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need, meaning that if you need just a simple repair, he'll do it. He covers the entire state of Florida, the East Coast, the West Coast, and everywhere in between. And did you know that Tom Laporta was voted one of the best general contractors and best roofers in all of South Florida? That is absolutely amazing. He's honest, he's knowledgeable, he's reliable, and he does incredible work. I've seen his work, not just on Steve Kane's house, but many of our listeners have told me about the great work that Tom Laporta has done for every type of structure. We actually had a listener that had a church roof. They call Tom Laporta about. Now, remember, because Tom Laporta isn't just a roofer, he's also a general contractor. Florida law allows him to deal directly with your insurance company for the cost of the repair or the replacement of your roof. He can handle a job of any size, and he can also handle any type of roofing job. Residential roofing and repair, commercial roofs, schools, municipal buildings, office buildings, emergency repairs. After rainstorms and hurricanes, we have a lot of listeners, they call Tom Laporta. He comes right out. He takes care of it. Give him a call. Now, this number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone, okay? 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. You can either call or text him. That's his direct cell phone number. Or go to his website, laportaroofing.com.
Are you looking for a podcast to listen to on your way to and home from work, and even with your significant other? Then add Life in Black and White and all the shades in between to your podcast playlist. On Life in Black and White, host Ivana and Yao, an interracial couple raising 3 boys, share the highs, lows, and everything in between, with real-life discussions on parenting, relationships, race, and making the world a better place. Life in Black and White is real talk with expert guests and topics that hit home, like discipline that works, navigating career changes, and finding connection over correction. Life in Black and White is the podcast for anyone who's looking for thoughtful conversations and practical advice. Listen now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. Learn more at thepocus.com. That's POKUS. Life in Black and White and all the shades in between. Tune in right now. Step into history and follow the path of true courage. Operation Anthropoid was one of World War II's boldest resistance missions, the assassination of Nazi leader Reinhard Heydrich. Now you can walk in the footsteps of those who risked everything for our freedom. Operation Anthropoid Tours offers immersive private journeys through Prague and the rest of the Czech Republic and beyond. When you visit key World War II resistance sites, you'll hear untold stories and see where history was made. From secret meeting points to powerful memorials, these custom-made tours bring the past to life. You'll experience the bravery, the sacrifice, and the legacy of the Czechoslovak resistance. Discover the story. Book your private tour right now at OperationAnthropoidTours.com. That's OperationAnthropoidTours.com, and take an unforgettable journey through history. Planning your next adventure? Forget the stress. Let TripWalt, the smart trip planner app, handle everything for you. TripWalt is a revolutionary travel app that creates personalized itineraries in just seconds. No more endless searches, no more guesswork, just your perfect trip, curated to match your interest. With TripWalt, you'll discover hidden gems you never would have found before. Discover authentic local experiences and get smart recommendations tailored just for you. Whether you're dreaming of a weekend getaway or a bucket list journey, TripWalt turns travel planning into effortless excitement. It's easy to use too. Just tell TripWalt what you want, get your itinerary, and start exploring. Are you ready to transform how you travel? Download TripWalt right now in the Apple App Store. Available soon for Android. TripWalt, the smart trip planner. If you're in business, you know that first impressions are crucial. Your business deserves a website that stands out. With nearly 20 years of experience, ProWeaver is your trusted partner for professional custom design websites that are built to elevate your brand. ProWeaver doesn't use generic templates, just fully responsive, user-friendly custom websites that are tailored to you and the needs of your business. And the best part, ProWeaver delivers in just 3 to 5 days. That's lightning speed compared to competitors who take weeks. ProWeaver handles everything for you. Logo design to e-commerce solutions, SEO, and social media setup. They'll help you launch, grow, and dominate online, all at an affordable price. Don't wait. Get your custom website right now. Visit ProWeaver.com or call them directly toll-free 877-216-0852. 877-216-0852. ProWeaver.com. Affordable, dependable, fast.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We've got a lot more to cover. There was a story that I did not start with today because I just had a feeling that what was going on is what ended up the issue that was going on. Right as I was about to start recording the podcast, this story came down that Iran was retaliating and had fired on a U.S. base in Qatar. Daily Mail was freaking out about it. The Drudge Report, they got missiles with the Iranian flag in the background taking off, and the headline is, Iran launches missiles at U.S. bases in Qatar. Update, it goes on and on and on. And I had a suspicion of something, which turned out to be true. The Iranians, this is the update, listen to this. Iranians reportedly coordinated missile attack on American base, so the Trump administration knew it was coming. No one was surprised. To save face, Trump worked out this deal with the Iranians to launch some rockets towards the base, not to hit the base, but in the direction of the base, to land out in the desert somewhere, just like they did in his first term. He worked out a similar thing. In fact, the number of rockets that the Iranians fired today was the exact same amount of bombs that we dropped on Iran over the weekend. And, this is an amazing thing. I just, during the break, was looking. Oil prices are fine. The stock market's up. Iran launched some rockets to make it seem as if they're tough out into the desert that hit nothing but sand. And what this is really showing is what a weak country Iran is. Yesterday, if you were watching the news yesterday, even this morning, they're going to cut off the oil supply through the straits and all this, and they're going to do this, and the Iranian parliament voted to do that. They got nothing. They've got nothing. They are a weak, weak country. And not only are they a weak country, they're a weak country that was trying to develop a nuclear weapon so that they would have some strength. They have had the living daylights not just beaten out of them by Israel and President Trump in the United States here. They're terrified, and they've got nothing now. And their lack of response, because there's been no response from Iran because they can't respond, shows how important it was to take out that nuclear weapon, because they needed to have nuclear weapons to have any sense of any strength to threaten the world with. It's been an illusion beyond the nuclear weapon that Iran's a threat. They are not a threat. And what Trump showed today is that they're a paper tiger, and probably is giving some inspiration to those that have been maybe thinking about rising up against the regime. This is absolutely amazing what's going on. I'm amazed because, I am assumed there would be some type of response from Iran that was more than just rockets in the desert after something so big happened. But that's not the case. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And, those of you that are Patreon supporters, remember, if you're a paid Patreon supporter, you have access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes in video form. So if you're a paid Patreon supporter, I upload the podcast in video form, commercial-free, every time I have a new one, and Patreon supporters who are paid Patreon supporters have access to that. And I want to explain about this just real quickly. Patreon added an ability for people to become free Patreon supporters. I don't know why they did that, but if you're a free Patreon supporter, you don't have access to all the exclusive things that paid Patreon supporters do. And not only do I post commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode, my wife, Kathy, and I both post a lot of content that we post nowhere else, including my vlogging. I put up a new vlog, actually, just yesterday for Patreon supporters only. And, I had a second YouTube channel where I did vlogging, and I stopped doing that because I'm so busy with my main channel and with the radio show and everything. I didn't have time to do that, but I enjoy vlogging. So all of my vlogs I am uploading to my Patreon page for paid Patreon supporters. So you Patreon supporters, check out those vlogs I put up there as well. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, SFjr, Rob, Laura, David, Dale, Frank, John, Brandon, George, Shawna, and LeeZep. These are our top Patreon supporters. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode. And the direct website address is patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. So become a Patreon supporter. Okay. And support my content. It's greatly appreciated, okay? And please check out those vlogs because I enjoy making them and like showing them to you guys. Story just dropped on Breitbart today. L.A. rioters helped illegal alien escape from ICE custody. Well, that is a major felony. If you're helping someone escape from the custody of federal agents, you go to prison for that. Let me read this story. I just saw this. A mob of rioters in the sanctuary city of Los Angeles, California, reportedly helped an illegal alien break out of immigration and customs enforcement custody and fled with him. Oh, my goodness. You know, this is like helping a bank robber escape, you know. The report from the Manhattan Institute's Heather McDonald, published in the Wall Street Journal, details the extent to which California's sanctuary state policy enabled the anti-ICE riots that occurred earlier this month, while ensuring activists could assist illegal aliens in committing jailbreak. In one particular case, McDonald reports a mob of rioters surrounded ICE agents who had arrested an illegal alien before helping the detainee escape in a movie-like scenario. The day before, according to the commander I interviewed, this is the reporter, a mob of several dozen surrounded two ICE agents, taking an illegal alien into custody on Vermont Boulevard. 6 men jumped out of the truck and grabbed the handcuffed suspect from the back of the ICE van. This is like out of a movie. Threw the suspect into their truck and fled. Oh my goodness. The ICE agents gave chase, but without sirens or lights, the pursuit was futile. Neither of these incidents was reported to the press. The commander said the LAPD didn't put out an alert for its officers to apprehend the fleeing abduction squad, presumably to avoid violating Los Angeles sanctuary law, which bans using city personnel for federal immigration enforcement. This is nuts. This now that it's out there, I hope the press picks up on it, but I doubt it. Doesn't fit their agenda. I mean, that's a real high-risk crime, man. I got to tell you. Law enforcement officers, according to McDonald's report, want California's sanctuary state policy overturned. It goes into some details, but my goodness, that is absolutely frightening. Can you imagine? You know, it reminds me of that in SWAT they did. Remember the movie SWAT, which I don't know if that was in the 2000s or the 90s. The one with Samuel Jackson. Remember that? They had this big cartel guy got arrested, or big international criminal, and he offered like millions of dollars if you helped him escape, and all these people did, and they eventually did it. That's surprising. And that I wish they would have released that to the press. You know, LA's faded away from the news, so now they probably won't pick up on it. But that really shows you how dangerous these people are that we're dealing with. You know, this one case, I just wanted to mention this case. I brought this up on one of my live streams over the weekend, and this Karen Reed case, I didn't follow this case, but when the verdict came out, of course, I heard about it, and I've seen Karen Reed in the media the whole time, and she was accused of she was on trial for murdering, and she was acquitted. She was being tried for murder of her Boston police boyfriend. And I had not followed the case because I'm more worried about saving Western civilization in the United States than I'm worried about some woman in Boston's murder trial. But it got so much press. After she was acquitted, I saw how many people were in front of the courthouse. I couldn't believe it. It was insane. So I went and looked at the case to see, you know, what's so interesting about this woman in this case. I watched a lot of news reports online about it. I watched a couple of court TV-like documentaries on the case. I don't understand why the Karen Reed case has any interest of anyone at all. It's not interesting. She's not interesting. I've seen her talk a couple of times. She seems pretty classless to me when I've heard her talk, and I just don't get it. Now, I enjoy true crime. I've always liked true crime. I like watching true crime shows. I followed high-profile cases over the years, but the accusation was is she ran over her Boston police officer boyfriend. She backed over him in the car, left him to die in the snow. Her defense is that he was killed in the house and there was this big police cover-up. I don't know. She was found not guilty. What the whole story is, who knows? But I just don't see what the excitement is over the Karen Reed case. Are any of you interested? I'm not going to get into it or start following it. But, like Kyle Rittenhouse, as an example, that was a high-profile case. And it wasn't just it had a lot of factors in it. It was political because of what was going on, right? He was at those BLM Antifa riots. He was 17. He shot someone. He was attacked. There was video of many of the incidents with him. And there was a political thing around it, a gun control. There were all kinds of factors, and it was televised. So I understand why that captivated the nation. I was interested in it. But this Karen Reed, I don't get it. There's just nothing really interesting about it to me. Well, if you got any opinions, let me know in the comments. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll talk to you next time.